right? So it's
That time.
5 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Finance Committee, April 3rd, 2025. Start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Just like to note, this meeting is in person and is being recorded.
Are you 6 feet?
Okay, Gary, warrant article review.
So, Mr. Chairman, we'll continue tonight with the warrant. I just sent Janine the latest version of the warrant. We've added and made it a couple of changes.
Oh, when did you send that, Gary? 'Cause I-
Oh, no, I just sent it to Janine.
Oh,
over
okay.
tonight. Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
just,
say-
just 2 seconds.
I'm like, I don't know.
The most current version is on the screen for everyone to see here and at home. I'll go over, we'll start back at the beginning, because some of these, after talking to CPC, they're meeting on Tuesday, they'll need some adjustment. The Article 2, we talked about the 30,190. Well, Article 1 is fine. Article 2, initially, when Buddy had presented, this was 20,190. So that's gonna get adjusted at the CPC meeting. That'll be changed. So I would hold off on us voting on that. Article 3, this was for the $25,000. That one is gonna get actually, the initial amount, I think, was 29,000, but they've reduced it to 25. So you already approved that, but that's a change.
Oh, it's been amended?
Yes, it's been amended.
Just the amount?
Just the amount, yeah.
Oh, okay, so we're going again.
So, no, I wouldn't vote on this until the committee votes on it
Okay, okay.
on Tuesday.
All right.
Vote on it on Thursday.
Okay.
On 3? We already voted on
We already voted on 3.
Yeah, but they changed.
Yeah, but they changed
changed
it.
it.
No,
Janine.
no, but I'm just
To
saying.
25, right, yeah.
We have to vote again.
Yeah, once, on Tuesday.
Okay.
Thursday, next Thursday. The CPC is voting on Tuesday
Yeah.
to change it, to amend it. So my recommendation is we don't vote on it, re-vote on it until
Next-
CPC
next-
votes
Next
on it.
meeting.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
All right.
Article 4 is okay. Article 5 was okay. Article 6, we just finished, excuse me. Article 6 is the revolving funds, that was okay, we voted on that. Article 7 is a new article, so
Okay.
this was the article to rescind, we spoke about that, the chart wasn't in there, we did the chart, on prior articles that were authorized but unissued. So what that means is the borrowing was approved, but this is what remains in these articles to rescind. You haven't seen one of these articles in a while. I think the last time it was done was 5 or 6 years ago. So this just cleans up these particular articles from prior town meetings.
Okay, so let's do this in order. Somebody want to make a?
Oh, well, do you want to read it first, Bob, and then, like you did last week, because it's new?
Okay, Article 7, rescind borrowing authorization. To see if the town will vote to rescind the authority to borrow previously authorized unissued debt comprised of amounts voted by the town under the following warrant articles from prior year. Town meeting, June 6, 2006, warrant article 26, GIS/GDS information systems, amount to be rescinded, $236,601. June 5th, town meeting, 2012, article number 15, CWMP engineering design phase and WPC facility upgrade, $802,522. June 7th, 2016, article warrant number 5, ultraviolet disinfectant sewer, $700,923. October 17th, 2017, article number 4, Dartmouth Regional Parks and Trails Project Phase 5 funding, $691,670. October 17th, 2017, article number 6, construction of a new public library at 211 Crossroad, $3,842,051. June 5th, town meeting, 2018, special meeting, warrant number 5, construction of aeration system, 2 water storage tanks, $37,105. Okay, so somebody want to make a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Janine made a motion to approve.
I will second.
Bill second. All right, discussion. Okay. So can you just explain this a little bit, just for the audience?
Sure.
And, you know, I don't think Patrick has ever seen one of these before, so.
Yeah, so what this article intends to do originally when these projects, speaking about all the projects, were approved, there was a funding amount of, let's say, I'm only making this up for the sake of argument, let's say it cost $20 million to build the public library. The project, through the cost of building the project, came in at that much money less. There were projects, there were change orders and everything that were approved. So what this does is, it's the approval of the amount. This is not actual money, it's just, we have to rescind that article to take it off the books, because it stays on the balance sheet as a placeholder. So I don't want folks to think that this is money sitting out there. This is the authorization to spend up to that amount. On those particular projects, correct. So we have to, you can't, under the Mass General Law, you cannot reallocate a warrant article to another warrant article. Like, we couldn't take that money and use it somewhere else. It's specifically for, the borrowing is specifically for that project at that point in time. So that, this cleans it off the balance sheet.
Okay, Janine?
I'm just curious, because I see one of the older ones that says 2012.
Yes.
That's a long time for something to sit out there to,
Well, we have one there for 2006 also.
okay, sorry, missed the one right
Yeah.
on top.
Yeah, it depends on when the project is, what we do is we pull some of these projects take longer than others to complete, quote unquote. So we don't want to close the project and rescind the article and then be in a position where we have to now do another borrowing for the project. So some of these can go longer than this.
Is there a
on some of them.
time limit ever?
No, there's no time limit. When we report back to the DOR, there's a report called authorized and unissued that we send to the Department of Revenue, and every year we have to put this on there. So this will come off there now, on that sheet, on the report that gets sent to the Division of Local Services.
Thank you.
So I do have a question. I just understand this from an accounting point of view. It's coming off the balance sheet, and what's it doing after it comes off the balance sheet?
So this is
goes where?
reserved on the balance sheet. It's not, we have the ability, so when our town accountant puts this on the balance sheet, we have that reservation to spend up to that amount of money. So
Yeah.
we haven't spent
And that
that.
goes to liabilities, or it goes to assets? Where's it go?
It comes off as a liability on the
Comes
balance
off
sheet.
liability.
Yes.
All right, but now...
Because it's no, when we book the project,
Yeah.
we have to book the entire amount of the project.
Okay.
Because that's really what got approved at town meeting. And whatever doesn't get approved now comes off here. There's a difference between the cash portion of it. If we were to borrow the entire, let's say we were to borrow the entire amount for the library, that 3.8 million, we would have then received cash for the 3.8 million. This is only the authorization to borrow up to that amount. So we never borrowed 3.8 million, 37,000, those are the amounts that are
So
remaining.
that's kind of an accrued thing, that's not actual then?
Right, yeah, we have to book it on the, we have to put it on the books so that if there is an authorization to borrow that amount, we have it booked in the system, on the ledger. So it's not theoretically cash on hand. It's a place mark on the balance sheet.
So doesn't that distort what's really owed in a way?
No.
You know it's accrued, I know,
No,
but...
because it's authorized, but it hasn't been issued. So there's authorized and unissued and authorized and issued. So when we issue the debt, we're borrowing up to that amount. We would borrow the complete amount of that project.
All right. So that's actually sitting there as the borrowed amount? No.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So does that mean that the library came in at $3,842,000 below?
Well,
plan?
looking at these amounts, it's hard to determine whether or not the projects came in under those amounts. You could have had change orders, you could have had revisions to the contracts. It's not really a one-for-one. I would have to go back and look to see, okay, whether or not, out of that 3.8 million, how much was the project really under budget?
But all these projects, there's
Complete.
no money that's gonna be spent on them.
No, they're complete.
Anybody else?
Once they're rescinded, if we, let's say we had to go back, we'd have to do borrowing. We'd have to find the funds in the budget to then,
So it's just being taken off? Okay,
Correct.
Gotcha.
Anybody else have any questions?
Janine, the library didn't come in under budget, right? Because, yeah, I know.
I didn't want to make any comments because I know of
Yeah,
all the
but
changes
just-
that
but
happened.
I wouldn't
There were a lot
want
of change orders.
to Walk away and think that it did. There were things that went wrong that they had to come back in. They didn't have much of a contingency because right from the get-go, they had some trouble with the site and, you know.
And and to Terry's point, that's one of the correlations you can't make, is what's on here to what a project came in,
Okay.
you know?
Understood.
Anybody else got any questions? We ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay, so, all in favor of Article 7, rescind borrowing authorization, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I see none, so it's what, 7? 7-0. 7-0-0.
Well, one,
Oh,
yeah.
no, 8, no.
You got
Oh,
four on
yeah,
this
so,
side.
yeah, we only got one. Yeah,
You got
yeah.
four on that
yeah.
side, and you got four on this side.
All
That's eight.
right,
So short, you can't
yeah,
see me.
all right. 8-0-0.
So Article 8, pleased to announce that,
Okay. I didn't, I didn't go on.
I wrote it as you were talking because it seemed simple.
Okay, here's the rationale.
This article rescinds the authority to borrow previously authorized unissued debt from prior years as detailed in warrant Article 7.
okay.
Excellent.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes,
Okay.
excellent.
All right, move on. Next warrant article.
Article 8. So, pleased to announce that capital met today, short-term capital met today. They've approved it was early this morning, they approved the list. I'll have this ready for the Thursday meeting.
Okay.
And the projects that they approved. So that'll be ready for next Thursday, so we can vote on that on Thursday. So we're back to Article 9. This was, I think the chairman wanted to wait for other members of the committee to be here to weigh in on the salary increase, salary for the clerk mainly, the rest of them are zeros. And this is based on a step increase and a 3% increase off the table, salary table. So there were a couple members that weren't here, so the chairman wanted to.
Okay. Okay, so, somebody want to make a motion to approve Article 9?
I'll make a motion to approve Article 9.
Okay, Gary made a motion,
Second.
second by Patrick. Okay, Article 9, salaries and stipends elected officials, to see if the town will vote salary the following elected officials. Selected officer of the town as provided in Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 41, Section 108, and any and all acts and attachment thereof. Town clerk, 1 from 102,685,000, 800, yeah, $102,685 to 2026, $106,685. And to see if the town will vote to fix stipends for the following elected officers of the town as provided in Massachusetts General Law 41, Section 101, and any and all acts and amendment thereof. Board of Assessors, 3 people, $0. Board of Health, 3 people, $0. Board of Health Trustees, 6, $0. Park and Recreation Board, 5 people, $0. Select Board, 5 people, $0. Planning Board, 5 people, $0. School Committee, 5 people, $0. And Town Moderator, 1, $0. Okay. Discussion.
All right, may I open up, please?
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
Even though I have not been here for the past few meetings, I did read the meeting minutes, and I noted Teresa, Ms. Ham's suggestion that going forward, that the town clerk's elected term for 3 years, spelling out a 3-year contract would be an appropriate approach, and I think that is absolutely correct. It should be, and I think that should be entertained. As far as the raises go, I'm going to have to abstain for the voting because of personal reasons, but I would like to say at this point that I am totally in favor of having the town clerk put on a contract.
Okay, you can't do that.
She's not
What?
on.
Is this one of
Oh,
those
she's elected
things
official.
that we could put on the agenda for the select board?
No, that's not true. You can have it on a
Is
contract.
it one of the things on our list?
What's that?
She's elected.
this suggestion to consider a 3-year contract.
But as an elected official.
You can't have she's an elected official.
Can't have a 3-year contract
She's
beyond.
elected every 3 years, though, right?
But it's not, she's not contract at all.
Yeah, she's
Well,
an elected
let
official.
me just say, that even though she's elected official, mean to say that we couldn't have her salary on a contract for 3 years?
No, because it's voted at town meeting.
It's voted at town meeting.
Could that be raised at town meeting? Or is that a violation?
You-
I don't know why we can't have her on a set contract, even though she is elected,
Be-
have her on a set salary contract for 3 years.
Well, because town meeting is the one that's determining her salary.
Could that be thrown out at the town meeting?
I would suggest that, when we go back to when the prior town clerk was, before the current town clerk that's here,
Yeah.
there was suggestions on whether or not to make the position appointed or elected,
Right.
and that remained elected. So just under that statute, under the law, her funding source is really town meeting. There's no contract in place. The discussion at town meeting, if the committee voted not in favor of this, you could bring that up, but then it would, town council would then pretty much reiterate
Well,
what I'm
that's,
saying now.
that was my next question. If it passes legal muster, if you will, could that be offered to town meeting as an issue to be brought up?
Well, I think what I'm saying is that town council would suggest that it is not,
You would suggest that?
that it's not,
we can't
yeah,
do that.
town meeting votes the salary.
Select board would have to negotiate the contract, and she reports to the voters, not to the select board.
Right.
So that's where you run into the issue. Okay, go ahead.
So then I have a question. So then could we recommend to the town to, to recommend to her that a 3% increase versus a 4% increase? Would that be legal? If that was our recommendation to the town, to say, versus the 4, we don't recommend this as is, we would recommend the town to say, to reject this and suggest to her to come back with the 3%.
Well, this is a 3% increase. It
This
includes a
is a 3.
step. So there's a step increase and then a 3% on top of that, 3% COLA.
For the
So-
town clerk?
Yes, because she mimics the grade and step system for the union, so.
Yeah,
So that-
it's
so-
very close to 4%. I
Right,
think
but
that's what
there's
we were
but
talking
there's
about.
also a step increase into that. So the step and the COLA
Okay.
is more than,
It was just a suggestion if
Yeah.
the town had the,
Yeah, I mean,
she's
Mr. Chairman.
reporting to the town if the town had.
I think what the committee can do is either vote in favor of it or not vote in favor of it. And then in the majority or the minority opinion, write what the sentiment of the, both sides are. I think that maybe at town meeting and I think it was done at one of the town meetings or the prior town meeting where there was a disagreement with the salary increase. That played out, but then it got passed.
Yeah.
It got passed as printed in the warrant. So that's the recommendation I make. If there's a disagreement between passing it or not passing it, that it gets put into the opinion.
Okay, John?
So I'm totally confused, because I agree with your comment that she can't be put under contract. She's an elected official. She doesn't, she reports to the voters, and she has the right to go to town meeting and ask for a salary or not ask for a salary. But then you said she mimics the union
Because a union- yeah,
supervisors
yeah.
that are getting a COLA or a step increase. You can't have it both ways. They've got a contract, she doesn't, so why does she get an automatic step increase? It makes no sense to me that's allowed. We can't put a contract on her, rightfully so, then how is she able to mimic something that's under contract?
Without having a
I
contract.
think it comes down to this is what's been requested, and she's an elected official.
Yeah, and
so-
And that's fine, and that's, but you said, I thought you, maybe I misquoted, I understood you that it's automatic. She gets a 1% because she's mimicking a
Yeah,
step
well,
increase.
not 1%. She gets the 3% and then the COLA, because she mimics one of the union contracts. But I did ask her about that whole process, and she said that she has looked at other communities, and her salary is still substantially low for communities our size, and the budget size, and so on and so forth. So,
We heard that argument
Number
3
of
years
time-
ago
number
when
of
we
times.
did
hear that from
the
everyone.
16% increase, and she wanted to be adjusted to what other, and now that argument is still being made today that I'm not in line with other. And that's not my issue. We're not in line with what we're doing with other folks in town. That's only my issue.
Yeah, I think she uses it as a
It's
bench-
not her performance, it's not how
The,
much she does
well,
for
the
town,
position,
or
so
she's
I think the
deserving to
position,
town.
that position is, that's what they use as a benchmark. Other than that, I don't know what else we
Yeah.
would use
I
without a
just-
contract.
I just want to clarify something. This is a number that she's given you, and she's using the contract as rationale. She
Correct.
could say 5%.
Oh, yeah, I
They were at
realize that.
5% in the warrant.
Yep.
So,
So, but we also could recommend, not, and I'm not saying that if this is the way it will go, but we could recommend the town meeting not to vote this, but also submit an amendment saying, we don't think it should be 4%, we think it should be 3%, or we think it should be 6% if we would agree where she's underfunded.
Town meeting.
That's certainly under our purview
Yeah.
to do
but,
that.
Yeah, I want the committee to be clear that this is a 3% increase, but it includes a step increase. And I get that, there may be some, that might be some, the sake of argument.
That she's asking for, it's
Yeah,
not, there's
right.
no automatic
Yeah.
step increase.
So, I mean,
Let's get a step increase on that. For what? That's
she's-
your rationale.
right, and that's what they've used for many years now, is going off of those
I
tables.
understand.
Yeah,
I
so,
understand.
I mean, the
Bottom
commi-
line
as-
is, she's asking for a 4%
Right.
increase.
So what I mentioned to the committee was, you can vote either yea or nay, and then put that in maybe in the majority and minority opinion in the
If
the
she-
rationale.
If I may,
Go ahead.
if she's watching tonight, or, I think maybe that what you're saying, she should have this written in here so that, because the town is gonna ask a lot of questions about it, because most people in town don't get a 4% raise every year at their job. So, or 3.9%, as you're saying, as you explained everything down. So I think that, not me personally, but people in the town are gonna ask questions on, well, why are you getting this raise? I do a good job at my job, so I think that more detail in here for her, like, she kind of has to defend her raise to the town, to the people of the town. So that would be my
I mean,
thoughts
we
moving forward
probably
to
wouldn't
her.
put it in the warrant article itself, because the warrant article asks a question. We would want to put it in the opinion of the finance
Yeah,
committee. That's where it
yeah.
needs to, so they,
Well-
when town meeting members get it, they match that up to,
Yeah, the finance committee can't recommend a different amount that's here.
Right,
It would have
right.
to be a town meeting member on the
amendment.
floor saying it would be a different amount. But we either vote yes or no.
correct,
Or abstain, and then we have different opinions.
majority, minority.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But just, I'm sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking out loud. I just don't understand why we can't have, instead of going back to this every year, which it seems we are, if we could have some type of governance, legally, Gary, some type of governance that would get us some type of schedule that, we could know more or less what we can expect from her going forward for 3 years. Because this goes, every year we go back to the same thing. And maybe somehow we can get away from that, and it's not even, I know she's
It's a good
elected.
idea, but what's been explained to me tonight is that you can't do that because she's 1 year at a time. So we can't, although it might be a good idea, it can't work in this situation because
So I just
of the
don't,
way
and
she's
that's
elected.
where I get confused.
I mean,
That's the position, okay?
Yeah.
And if you want to run for that position, get into that position, there should be salary guidelines already out there.
Yeah, but there's not. It's the.
I
only-
know
and
there's not.
This is why
That's
the
the problem.
Finance Committee a few years ago studied this and recommended that it be appointed, and the voters didn't agree. So that's
The
democracy.
tricky part is that, not tricky part, it's just the way it's elected. And everything, I understand that we use the same benchmark for other unions and everything else, but this is a very unique
Okay.
position.
The union thing is her rationale, not our rationale.
Right.
Okay, Janine?
So this may not be a popular opinion, but because this is an elected position, to me, it's a merit-based position. It's not the same as a union job classification in regards to that, in regards to the comments about fairness across the town. This position is elected, and if this person is not doing a good job, then someone else can run, and they can become town clerk.
That's fair.
Because the town clerk is judged on how they interact with the public and what they do in the role that they have, which is, in my opinion, again, because I've worked closely with her on many things, is a lot. There's a lot going on, and she manages it in a very capable manner.
She does. Agreed.
Bob, do we have any of the comparison with other similar towns as far as the clerk's salary, as like far as, evidence goes to help us make a
She does.
decision?
She does.
But has that been provided to us at all, or to you?
I think she
Past
did, when-
years.
yeah.
Past years?
Yes.
Okay.
Past years.
Yep.
But I think that will be helpful too, to see where we stand, not so much that you have to solely base a decision off of it, but if you can see where we stand, that would be helpful as well in the future, I think.
Go ahead, Jenny.
I did a very quick study because I didn't have hours to put into it, but she's not wrong in regards to comparing Dartmouth, the size of Dartmouth, the size of the budget of Dartmouth with communities that are similar across Massachusetts. I'm sure she has the exact towns. I just did some random selections on
Yeah, she
communities
did the
that were
comparables,
similar.
I think, a couple of years ago, she presented.
Yeah,
And I suspect she will do it again.
yeah. Well, that's when she got the big raise. That was when she got the big raise,
2023.
yeah. Okay, anything else? Any other discussions? Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to abstain because I have a conflict with her on the voting of polling place of precinct 9.
You probably want to, Mr. Chairman, you probably want to do a roll call, so
Yeah,
when
yeah,
Elizabeth
no, I'm
reads the
just letting
minutes.
you know
Yeah,
before I go.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Oh,
right,
wait a
so
minute,
I'm gonna have to, all right, so
roll
John,
call.
yeah, because
Roll call.
okay, so John,
Abstain?
abstain?
Bill, abstain.
Abstain? Bob, abstain?
Yes.
Janine, yes?
Patrick, yes?
Patrick, yes? Carrie?
Carrie, yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Carrie, yes. Okay, so that's
5 yes.
5-0-3. Yes.
Argument for $20 a week. That's all it comes down to.
I'm scheduled. Article 10, we are holding off. Oh, yeah, oh,
Rationale?
If I may.
why break the trend?
I forgot to bring my sign that said rationale. This article sets the town clerk's salary and stipends for all elected positions for fiscal year 2026. A 3.9, I believe is the accurate number, but salary increase is proposed for the town clerk and was presented as comparable to other town clerk municipal salaries and union salaries.
That's good.
Nice job, Jane.
Here we go again.
If we're going to make a statement about the town clerk as opposed to other towns, why aren't we making the same statement for the Board of Assessors, the Board of Health, the Select Board, and every other
Because there's 0.
committee who is getting 0 and other towns are
Towns
getting
aren't.
more?
Towns aren't.
I mean, we should be consistent on what we're saying here.
Because they're not asking for money.
Oh, look at
Well, we're
Well,
making
that
a
doesn't-
recommendation, so, I mean, you see, it seems to me that statement's a little hypocritical if you're gonna say
4% this year?
106 is okay because it's comparable, but you're not saying 0's not okay because there are other towns that are getting much more than that. I'm just pointing that out. I know I'm on the,
Well, we're in rationale here, so let's,
Yeah, I mean, I think that bears some study, and we have talked about it before. I think one year we recommended that there be a stipend given because there was concern about having people who have young children being able to come, and we thought that would be a way to pay for childcare. So, but I think we'd have to have a subcommittee to look at that, because if you receive a stipend, I don't know what that does to you as a town employee. we have to answer that question before we make recommendations. I don't
You're a
know,
special town employee if you receive a
a
stipend.
special town employee, okay. So that would be the question, you know, just before we make the recommendation, what are we saying about the town, so.
But I don't think rationale, we should put anything on that.
Yeah.
Because it's no money.
Well, we
I mean,
voted
I-
5 yes, so unless somebody wants to write a rationale for why we voted yes,
Yeah, no, I got you, yeah. But.
which we can all
I mean,
share at
there's-
town meeting.
There's no stipends, there hasn't been stipends for years, but this recent town election, it might be one of the reasons you want to have stipends, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
Okay, so we're done with that one, right?
So Article 10 is the budget, we're still working on that. That'll be,
It's the capital?
no, this is the budget, Schedule A.
Oh, Schedule A, okay.
Yeah, so we're still working on, I'm still working on that. 11, we took care of last week. 12, we took care of. 13, we took care of. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, we took, wait a minute. let me
We
see.
did, we
So
voted.
18 is a new article. So 18 is, DCTV is looking to put one of the Shelter Logic, I don't know if you're familiar with those garages. Currently, they house their truck in a facility, and they pay, I think, $9,000, $10,000 a year to do that. So this would save them a substantial amount of money. It would be placed on the site that is near the DCTV location there, and they could house the truck there permanently and not have to pay for the rental of the space. So this does that. This does the purchase of the, purchase of the.
All right, so let me read it, and then we'll get into
Now,
discussion.
we do, so,
Voted on
just,
that already.
no, we didn't. So this is new.
Yeah,
What article is this one number?
18.
18. Now, remember, no, you have an older version. This is the, I've got the newest version up here.
Yeah.
So this is for Janine's purposes, so we can.
Gotcha, okay.
And I'll just, one thing before we start, Mr. Chairman. We have a DCTV stabilization account. Now, this is, the reason why this happened was before there was an enterprise fund.
Yeah.
That was set up. So what we're trying to do is drain down the fund, which will leave a very small amount of money in there, like I think $5,000 or $10,000. And we will then eventually close that stabilization account, because it's not needed anymore. So,
Okay, so Article 18, appropriation for use of Dartmouth Cable Television, DCTV, stabilization fund for capital expenditures. To see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $45,000 from the Dartmouth Cable TV Stabilization Fund for fiscal year 2026 for use for capital expenditures at the DCTV headquarters. Okay, somebody want to make a recommendation, move this? Someone want to move this?
Make a recommendation.
Okay, so Patrick
So-
moved it,
I'll second
Gary seconded it, discussion. So,
Discussion?
all right, go ahead, John.
You said there's a stabilization fund that exists now.
correct.
So did you lead me to believe that there's 55 in there now? This is only spending 45 and there'll still be 10 left over?
Yeah, I don't quote me on the exact amount. I think it's about $10,000
right.
that's left.
Okay. And you said eventually that's going to be closed out.
Yeah, we're gonna look to close that, maybe even in the fall.
So do you know, I imagine a town meeting member asked this, is that they were paying for storage someplace else?
For a very long time.
Right. So, but it's a town vehicle. Is there no garages in town between the DPW and the Allen Street garage over there that I think is underutilized? And there may be others I can't think of.
So-
There's no place else that if it was being housed someplace else, why can't we house it in a town garage somewhere? Is there nothing
Yeah,
out there?
very difficult. We talked to them about that, and it was very difficult. Actually, Pete can probably speak a little bit more on it, but it was very difficult to find space. The garage, the truck is a tall, one of the tall trucks, so Pete could probably give you a
Step
little
right
bit
up
more
to the
details.
podium.
I've seen that short guy behind the
So-
wheel. It's all truck.
So,
I'm
yeah.
I'm
we-
recognizing,
so-
Pete, you want to
Yeah,
introduce
Peter-
yourself?
Peter Chase, Director of Media for Dartmouth Community TV. So, yeah, we've looked into all the garages in town. Way back when Water Department vacated the Allen Street and Parks Department went over there was discussion of us moving in, but Parks basically filled up that garage, and they're still looking to expand it and do a little bit more work to expand it even more. They actually put up one of these Shelter Logic garages outside to expand their coverage. When we started looking into doing the Shelter Logic, it was suggested that other departments need storage, and it sounds like a great idea, but unfortunately, we need to know where you would want to put this garage, who needs it, and everything else. And so, right now, we're just trying to figure out something short-term where, these Shelter Logic garages, I think Gary says the hard plastic over it lasts about 7
3 to 5
years or so.
years, 5
yeah,
years.
5 years or so. So, that Shelter Logic garage itself is around 10. That 45,000 is for a bunch of work being done. It's not just for the Shelter Logic garage. The Shelter Logic garage is about 11,000 to purchase. We estimated about 10,000 to install it, between putting something down on the ground to do more of like a, either a crushed stone or pavers on the ground. We want to bring a little bit of electricity into it just so we can charge our truck. And then also, it ties into the CPC request where we're requesting 25,000 for a study, but the study's actually about 30,000, so we're going to put 5,000 of that into it.
There's the house over there too, Pete, it'd be on that location.
Yeah, it would be
grass
on
in
the
back.
house. The town purchased the property right behind us. It used to be the old, Mr. Maderas owned it, I believe. And so the town purchased that property, so we're looking to put it like right behind our parking lot. But yeah, to answer your question, it'd be great to build, the town to build a bigger garage, because there's other departments that would need it. It's location and finding out who's going to do it. But in the meantime, if we can spend $10,000 to put up a garage, we'll save that within 1.5 budget years.
So, isn't there garages in the old police station?
They're too small.
Too small?
Yeah, our truck is just under 12 feet high.
Okay.
This is the location.
So yeah, that's the location where the black arrow, the black kind of drawing is where we were talking
The
about
house in the back there.
trying to do like a drive in and drive out. And then also it would actually fit both of our vehicles, the white truck and the blue van that we have on site. So, yeah, and like Gary said, right now we do rent a space in New Bedford for the truck, and the access to there is becoming harder and harder, honestly.
So this is for a bunch of things, not just
Yeah.
45,000 for...
Yeah.
So this is, okay.
Thank you. That was
And
very
welcome.
good
it's
clarification.
it's like the stabilization fund they have for kindergarten. There's no use for kindergarten,
Yeah.
the schools have a stabilization
Yeah,
fund.
well,
Kid-
this is, as I
Yeah,
mentioned, this was in
the
place.
stabilization fund was created years and years ago when Greg Barnes first came in. It was basically made to recapture all the revenue all the revenue we received that we didn't spend in a fiscal year. It was a way to just recapture it and use it before they set us up as an enterprise fund. And so it's just one of these accounts that have been on, we haven't put any money into it since our enterprise fund, because now we just have retained earnings. And so it'll clean up the books a little bit.
So in this case, there is money there, right? There is cash.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
cash, so it's a little different than the rescinding. This is.
Oh, yes,
this
yes,
is a-
yeah.
there
We
is
will
cash
close,
there.
right, yeah, we will close the stabilization fund out once,
Right.
if there's another project.
Yeah, and
that-
the reason to put it in a separate article versus CIP is because spending out of your stabilization
Two-thirds
account
vote.
requires a 2/3 vote, and so we don't want to tie up the CIP article, because this went through CIP. So if for some reason they didn't get a 2/3 vote for our article, it would basically kill the rest of the CIP article.
Okay. Any more questions? We ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I hear none. So 800. Rationale.
Yes, I did manage to write it, but let's not get, especially on these new articles.
Okay.
This article appropriates $45,000 from the DCTV Stabilization Fund for fiscal year '26 to use for expenditures at the DCTV headquarters.
Okay.
So, Article 19 is a new article. This is coming from short-term capital this morning. Again, this would need 2/3 vote. If the committee remembers, back a year ago, we set up a long-term capital stabilization fund of $1 million. The recommendation this morning at the CIPC meeting was to use a portion of that. If the committee remembers, the school district is in need of fire. They have fire issues with the system. So the committee voted to, last year, the committee voted to do the design work. The committee this morning voted to fund the entire project. The fire districts had put this as a top priority, a life safety issue for the buildings. So the committee voted this morning to go ahead and fund that through this article. It would need 2/3 vote. The only thing I would recommend is that maybe we wait on this article for me to do the CIPC. The committee can vote on it right now, it's ready to go. But it's at the choice of the committee. I think that we can vote on that, Terry, right? There's not gonna be no more discussion at
What was
CIPC.
interesting, and I'll talk about this later in the liaison reports.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Okay. So is there a chance we could table this, or?
You could table it until we talk about CIPC next week and vote on that article. It's really two independent articles,
Right.
because this requires a 2/3 vote at town meeting, because it's a stabilization fund.
All right. Before anybody makes a motion to move this forward, I have a couple of questions. Okay. It's my recollection that we were going to put $1 million a year into this capital stabilization fund going forward, and that way, when we get hit with a really, really big capital expenditure, we would have the money set aside. And, $1 million a year, $1 million a year, going forward.
I don't
case-
think we talked about $1 million a year. I think we talked about an initial contribution of $1 million, and then as free, because we would be funding this through free cash. So as the budget allowed, we would then put X amount in every year. I don't think we said $1 million every year. We probably said $1 million to start, and then whether it be 250, 400,000, whatever the case may be.
When you see the list of long-term capital projects,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody thinks we'll be able to fund one of those through this fund. I think this was set aside as some, what happens every year in capital is capital votes on whatever they can
Yeah.
with the money they have left. There's always a list of
Things.
tier one requests that don't make it. And so for the last couple of meetings, we've been talking about other ways to address those needs, like perhaps doing borrowing at some point. For, not long-term like 30, 40 years, but,
Yeah,
long-
short-term borrowing and potentially calling it an infrastructure borrowing for the short-term projects. That would go 5 years, not the larger term, like schools, wastewater treatment plant, those would be bigger, longer borrowings.
So knowing when we talk about capital later on next week, you'll see there's just not much there. So this was an
Yeah,
attempt
but
to.
this could be a capital, so.
It was.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand this. I don't know what the number was last year, but say we did $1 million last year.
$1 million, yeah,
Say-
it was
say
$1
we-
million.
I think $1 million, right? So now that 450,000 is going to come out of that million, right? I have that right? It's
Yeah,
going to be a
yes.
subtraction. Okay.
So it'll leave 550. The committee also spoke about potentially putting more money back in that once we certify free cash in the fall, replenishing it to the $1 million. But because the
Okay, so we would
district,
do that in the fall.
yeah, because the district has been this has gone on for years. I mean, a number of years where we've been talking about this for 3 years, that the district needs this
Okay.
life safety issue
Yeah,
in the schools.
I remember. So basically what we're doing is, we don't have enough money in capital for this year to do this, so we're hitting the stabilization fund so that we can do it. Okay, right, okay. So, Terry, you want to say
I
something?
just want to make a comparison. When you and I were first on the Finance Committee, I remember that what we would do is respond to the requests that were on the warrant. We'd say what we think. That would be it. Then, over time, it's evolved into a bigger picture. Thinking about you know, what do we really have? I think Greg Barnes when he left, said, the only thing I would really recommend that you do is long-term planning, because, and so as this process evolves, which it is, and there will be more about this next week, we'll be able to get more clear about what we're recommending next. But it's definitely a work in progress right now.
Okay, so do we want to vote on the, do we want to take it up? Somebody
I'd
want
say
to
we
make?
hold on it.
If they hold?
Next week, yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll
But I got a question for next week, just to give you a heads up, and I don't expect an answer tonight, but my question would be, I think you said there was a design done. Will we know what the ultimate expense is and how long this long-term STAB fund will have to be in existence that we've got to spend down? Is it a 5-year project? Is it a 10-year project? And do you have any idea what the total expenditure will be?
The total cost of this was originally 550. It got reduced. It was really more than 550. I think it was originally almost $1 million. It got reduced to, and you don't quote me on the million, but it got reduced to 550, and this morning reduced again by another 100,000.
So it completes the project?
Correct.
Oh, so it's done. After
done.
this,
Yeah.
if this gets approved, the fire chief is happy that
Yes.
the schools, all the schools are up to par?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Our understanding, that's
Great.
what.
That's good news. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just to give everybody a little background on this, what happened here was this whole thing with the fire alarms and all the different schools. All of a sudden, that came out of the blue. You know, when one of the fire chiefs said, "Hey, you know, this is what's going to happen," and that's actually one of the reasons I think we started with the capital planning going out 10 years, because we said, all of a sudden, you've had a fire situation in all these schools, and all of a sudden, it becomes a priority one. We had no previous knowledge of the situation, so that's really where it started from. So I'm glad they're going to address it. Okay, so we'll table it for tonight, and we'll vote on it next week.
Okay, so Article 20, you had voted on. 21, Town Council's looking at that.
What happened to 21?
Town Council is looking at that,
Okay,
still
so
reviewing it.
the new 21.
Right, establishment of the overnight camping, bylaw. Article 22, you had voted on. Article 23, 24, and 25, this should not be highlighted, can be voted on tonight. So, as I had mentioned at the last meeting, this is part of the elderly exemption, which raises the qualifications and the limit, and then also we address the Veterans Heroes Act in the next couple. So 23, 24, 25 can be voted on.
Okay, so I'll read Article 23.
Yes.
Okay. Article 23, increase income limit for real estate exemption, to see if the town will vote in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 41C, to increase the income eligibility limits for applicants for real estate tax exemption under the said Clause 41C from $20,000 to $30,000 for a single person, and from $30,000 to $40,000 for a married couple, to take effect in the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025. So somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to
Okay,
accept.
Mary, okay. Gary made a motion, second by Phil. Discussion?
Quick question. Is this 100% exemption if you meet the income qualification? Or-
No. I believe it's 750 or 500 they receive. It's not, you don't get the whole entire bill waived.
How much is it?
I believe it's 500 or 750. I believe they might be 500. Yeah, anybody in the room getting a
7,500?
No, 700.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
500, yeah.
7,500. I
It's
think
not,
that
no,
was-
it does, we don't waive the entire bill. The only way the only exemption that waives the entire bill is if it's, if you're a veteran and you're fully disabled. I think that allows full exemption.
Okay.
And,
So, go ahead.
sorry, are these set by Mass General Law, the limits? So
Yes.
we're just getting into compliance with Mass General Law
Yes.
then? Okay.
Yeah, they have to be adopted at town
Okay.
meeting.
Okay, that was my,
So we could increase it if we wanted to.
Yeah. Some communities do more than others. Some communities adjust the age. I believe our age is 70. Some communities have 65. But there's guidance from the DOR that we can't go rogue with it.
So we can increase it?
You can adjust the age. I mean, if,
Just the age, but we
Yeah.
couldn't increase the amount. We couldn't say,
This is an age.
well, this is what's recommended from, I don't know what the max amount is, but in order to change it here, you'd have to do an amendment at town meeting if you wanted to change it here.
no, I'm just asking the question.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I'd
So
have to check
the-
to see what the max is.
So
The maximum allowable.
Yep.
But I know the age, like I said, some communities are 65, some communities are 70 for the age allowance.
so what
So does anybody,
what is ours?
70,
70?
yeah, maybe 70.
do you have an estimate on what this is gonna cost the town?
The difference, I think the assessor had said it would be like another 300,000, 200,000 for the change. It all depends. I mean, this is based on people that apply, so, and it comes out of the overlay. So if people are applying in one year
No, I
and then
know.
apply more in another
Is
year,
there any
that
kind of
number's gonna
estimate out there?
change.
Do you think it's,
I can get the estimates, but they were reasonable. We did, they hadn't gotten the final amounts, but I can get the estimates for the committee on what it would cost.
It's curious, because somebody from town meeting floor is probably gonna ask that
It's true.
question.
Yeah, I have it.
What's this,
I have
what's
it
this gonna cost
downstairs
the town?
somewhere. I should have brought it, I didn't bring it. But I can get it for the committee.
Yeah, it'd be good to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, I know it's not astronomical, but
Yeah.
the Board of Assessors are prepared to speak on it if there are questions.
Okay, are we ready to vote on this?
Yeah.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. 800. Rationale.
Thank you, Bob. This article increases the income eligibility limits for applicants for real estate tax exemption as detailed in warrant Article 23.
You want to add anything to that, or?
No, it's good.
Beyond as detailed in warrant Article 23. Sorry. That's my caveat.
Yeah, no, I'm just,
I'm sure there'll be questions that people will ask.
okay. Maybe not right up, we might want to adjust it, to address it. You know, say, this is the amount it'll have, the impact it'll have. Okay,
Yeah, I can get you the number.
Yeah, that would be interesting to add, yeah.
yeah. Okay. Article 24, acceptance of adjusted exemption amount clause 22, is that I or 1?
Aye, aye.
22I. Okay. To see if the town will vote to accept general law, chapter 59, section 5, clause 22I, which authorizes an annual increase in the amount of the exemption granted under general laws, chapter 59, section 5, clause 22, clause 22A, clause 22B, clause 22C, clause 22E, and clause 22F. I need a break here. By the percentage increase in the Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics, Consumer Price Index for the previous year as determined by the Commissioner of Revenue, to be effective for applicable exemptions granted for any fiscal year beginning on or after July 1st, 2025. All right. So we want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
All right, Bill made the motion,
Second.
second by John. All right, what is this?
This is so this is part of the HEROES Act, the Veterans Exemption.
HEROES Act?
HEROES Act, I and J, that you see here, 22I and 22J. So what this does is the CPI can range anywhere between 3, 4, 5%. That's undetermined yet. That calculation doesn't happen until well after town meeting.
Yeah.
So it's hard to put a number on it, on what that would be. And that's determined by a ton of data that comes in. So we wouldn't even know that for town meeting. This just sets the guidance that allows the COLA. 22, well, we haven't done 22J, but I can speak on 22J too. So as part of the HEROES Act, this allows for the 100% personal exemption, as I had mentioned, for if someone is completely disabled and
Disabled.
and you know, a veteran of the war. So we don't have these on the books now, but, and these are rare, I mean, because they've got to be determined by the Department of Veterans. You know, they have to come in with all the proper forms, submit that to the assessor's office. You may have one or two individuals in town, it depends, that have that qualifications from the veterans. So that's determined by Department of the Veterans and then granted by the Board of Assessors.
But I don't know how everybody else feels, but I feel this is not very well written, because it really doesn't talk about, you know, so what I'm reading here is because it says Consumer Price Index, veterans get a certain amount of money every year, and then the town applies to the federal government and gets a portion of that money back. So their increase would be based on a CPI, which is a national
Could be, yeah,
statistic,
right,
national,
statistics.
national number. So that's for money that the veterans get, right? Now, you said something about real estate tax exemption too, on top of that?
This is for their real estate tax exemption.
Well, what does the CPI have to do with a real estate tax? exemption?
That's the COLA. So on top of it, they can get a COLA. So so they can also get an increase on their benefits. You know, so they receive benefits from the Veterans Association, like, if you're a veteran,
Yeah.
you apply for the exemption amount through real estate tax, but you're also granted veterans benefits.
Yeah,
So that's determined by whatever the CPI would be. We don't know that yet because that hasn't been determined. So the Board of Assessors and the Veterans Agent are prepared to speak on these articles and give more detail at town meeting. Well, maybe we'll have it in time for town meeting on the CPI, whatever amount that is, and also what it would cost the town. That's really what they're working on. But we won't have that in time for town meeting. For the warrant article, we'll have it hopefully in time for town meeting.
go ahead, Bill.
So if I may, given what you just said, we're really not in any position to vote on this, are we? And I'm looking at, I know my meeting minutes aren't up to date, but you mentioned that Mr. Carell stated that this article is sponsored by the Select Board on behalf of the Veteran Services, and no action on this article can be taken at this time. So I'm thinking we can't even vote on this now because we don't have everything in place. We don't have all the information. All we have is, we don't have the numbers or anything like that.
Yeah, you probably won't have the costs
Right.
prior to town meeting.
Well, this is my point, we're the Finance Committee, but we don't have all the necessary components of this.
Mr. Chairman.
But if
If-
it's based on CPI, that's a published number, and it is, yeah, it is.
If you want to maybe wait a little,
Maybe.
maybe you want to wait a little bit longer if we can maybe get the data, but, you know, I don't know how much more we're going to get between now and town meeting.
Well, and if we can't get any more than that's fine. But, you know, John raises the question, and so do I all the time, the more ammunition you have to present to town meeting, the better off you are, because there will be questions raised.
Yeah, so if you want to maybe wait a week, wait.
And if you can't get
John?
anything more than fine.
Yeah, well, John,
I agree with Bill that there is a financial impact. I don't think anyone's going to vote against this, but there is a financial impact to the town. Our job, we're the watchdogs for the town when it comes to what we're spending, and we're walking into town meeting recommending an article that we don't know what the impact is, however small it may be or big it may be. So I would like to hold off on this till town meeting. We've consistently had a meeting right before town meeting. And if we don't have the number by then we'll have to decide whether, you know, I'm sure we'll probably still recommend it, but I just hate to go to town meeting, you know, saying yes, and then find out what the financial impact is 2 weeks from now.
But CPI gets, comes out once a month. The Department of Labor.
The range that we,
And the Massachusetts state law says that these benefits are going to be based on CPI.
the range, initial range that we've heard was anywhere between 3% and 5%. That's what that's what I've heard from the assessors. That's what the
Do we
range
have
would
an
be,
estimated number?
3 to 5%.
What's the,
Yeah, well,
dollar-wise?
yeah, so until they get the exact amount, they're maybe hesitant to give what the cost would be.
One or two people are,
Yeah, what I would suggest is, maybe let's hold off,
okay,
and we can maybe get a little bit more data by maybe next couple of weeks.
That's fine.
We still have 5 or 6 weeks before this really has to,
All right.
maybe the longer we wait, the more data we
I'm
get.
sure it wouldn't be a
so somebody
huge
want,
debate once we get that
I
number.
would just pass over.
Yeah.
so somebody want to make a motion to table this
I'll make a motion
article?
to table.
Bill made an
Table,
article to
24
table.
and 25.
Well, we've
Mr.
only done
Chair,
24.
I don't think you need a motion to table. We've passed over a few of them already, without motions to table. I don't think you need a motion. We're just
I thought once you made a
Oh, we had
motion.
a-
Oh, we had a motion on the floor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I
Bill
don't know who
made a motion.
I
and-
made a motion, now we,
So we're not going to table it.
Okay, gonna table.
we
it.
have to table it.
So, all right, so Bill made a motion to table. John, you second? Second, by second. All in favor of tabling Article 24 till another meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I hear none. 800. And we don't need
We
rationale.
don't need to do that for the, I have the rationale all written.
I would do the same with 25.
Yeah, well, we're not going to do 25, right? It's the same.
Yeah, I'd skip over.
Yeah, we're not gonna-
Pass over.
yeah,
I'll go to 26.
yeah, we never made a motion on 25.
26, we voted on
That's right,
last week.
Yep, Elm
that's
Street.
good.
27, town meetings looking at this. 28,
We-
this was the license to carry. My suggestion with this is let council look at this a little bit longer.
Okay.
Let town
Let the
council,
what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
let town council review this.
This is the one?
So it's still under review?
Yes, that's my suggestion.
That's at the end. Yeah, can I,
This one?
Article 28, even though we're not going to vote on it tonight?
Yes.
I would like the opinion of the chief of police.
Okay, I think we might have that, but I'll check.
What is it?
I'd like to,
Yeah.
license to carry, exclusion
Oh,
of
that
this
one,
food. I like to get that.
Thanks,
police-
Bob.
What?
Thank you, that's a great suggestion.
And Bob, could I, as well about that, I mean, most people that are gonna come into the municipal buildings, I mean, I'm licensed to carry, I carry a firearm often. All the town residents that own a firearm that are licensed to carry are licensed by the chief of police in Dartmouth. So he sees the suitability of you, you have a background check every 5 years, you pay a fee.
Yep.
You know, so he licenses these people. If not him, then another chief of police, and I understand getting his opinion, but he's the one that oversees the licensing process.
Yeah, and I believe, I have to go back and look, I think that he's already written some.
Your opinion on it?
I just like-
But I'll
I mean,
look at
I'm
it.
licensed to carry, but
May
I'll
I?
bring it to
I'm glad you
FinCon
don't.
meetings. Go ahead, Jay.
And to further that, I would like to have some sort of survey, or I want to know how the people that work in the building feel about the change. I think that it's fair to ask the people that are in this building 40 hours a week if they feel safe. So I would like to, if we're going to be voting and recommending this, I want to know how people that work here feel about it. And the reason for that also is because this could cause us to have more an impact on money if they start to recommend or request things like bulletproof glass in their offices and things of that sort. Now we're talking about spending money. So that's how I would tie that into the finance committee, that we really should have the opinion of the people that work here so that we know in the future, are they going to ask for things for their safety that they don't, that isn't on the table right now. So.
That's up to Gary. I don't know if you can do it.
So, Karen and I had spoke on this, and I did approach the chair of the select board, and he had said that if there is a survey, it would come out of the select board's office. So if they're going to be doing something, it would be coming out of the office.
So are we going to do it?
Well, I'm not sure yet. I have to follow up with the select board, with the chair, but I did mention it to him.
All right, go ahead.
So I looked into this law, and it's my understanding, and I forget the dates, but it was last summer, that this law passed in Massachusetts that actually made it so municipal buildings were a prohibited area. So before last summer, we could freely walk around with our weapons.
That's fair.
Just saying. So
that's fair.
it was added to a law that was very comprehensive with other controls, obviously. So that's the reason why some towns are going to exclude it, because it was never in place before.
Thank you,
So,
Janine.
just to clarify, it's not that it's,
New?
yeah, it's not really new.
Yeah, I'm aware.
I thought if the Mass legislature passed a law a town couldn't override it.
This one, I think they're allowing it. Well,
Yeah.
Rochester did.
Rochester, yeah,
I know
did.
Rochester.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they did. They were allowing people to, take this off the table because obviously there are buildings, schools, voting areas, and something else that have always been
Excluded.
prohibited.
Exempt, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're not gonna discuss this one tonight. Okay, are we ready for Article 29?
Yeah, just a little bit of data I just got here on the exemptions. So we have, and I'll get the dollar amounts. I get the head counts. So we've got 10 on the, we've got, let's see, 90 on the elderly, 158 and 2, that's 200, around 300 on the, maybe see 250 on the, 260 on the veterans, and then 27 on the blind exemption. So I'll get the data that correlates to the dollar amounts on those and send it to the committee, so you have it.
Good.
29, you did vote on,
We voted, yeah.
yes,
That's the alcohol.
yeah. And all that was, I know Bill wasn't here, but that was just a cleanup, because I went to the AG's office, then had to be re-looked at, so it's just a cleanup.
Okay, thank you.
So just to recap, Mr. Chairman, Article 2, 3, Tuesday we'll have the CPC meeting. They will hopefully vote on those, clean those up, then we can address those on Thursday. Article 8 will be ready next week, that's the Capital Planning Committee recommendations. Article 9, did we still need more data on Article 9? That was the elected officials.
Article 9?
Elected officials, did you need more data on that?
No, we
No.
voted on it.
Okay, you don't need any more data on that, okay. Article 10 is the budget Schedule A, so that'll be,
That was the one we had 3 abstentions,
yeah,
and the 5 voted.
so we don't
yes.
need any more data.
No.
12, 13, 14, 15, done. 16 is done. 18 we voted on. 19 was the, we'll wait for next week for the along with the CIPC. 20 was voted on. 21 council is looking at. And 23, 24, 25, I'll get you the impacts. 26 was voted on, 27 council's looking at, and 28 will get the chief's opinion, so that's it. So we've got about maybe 6 articles remaining, which will take care of most of them next week. So, next on the agenda, we had the budgetary recommendations. I think the committee had looked at those and vetted those last week. So, what we want to do is hopefully have the joint meeting on the, we penciled that in. We're going to put that, I put that on the draft agenda for the select board coming up on the 28th. So I think that may be one of the items that.
28th or 21st?
It's the 21st.
It was 21st.
So we're going, the 21st is a holiday. Isn't that the Patriots Day?
Patriots Day.
No, I'm just saying, last week you said the 21st.
Let me see. So the 21st is the holiday. So the select board on Monday are going to vote their new schedule. So it will either be, and the recommendation I had was not to have 2 back-to-back meetings. So the meeting on the 7th, not to have the week of the 14th, and the 21st was a holiday, to have it on the 28th.
All right, so we should.
28th, yeah.
Should we plan on the
Yeah.
28th? Okay.
What I would do is pencil it on the 14th, just in case, but my recommendation is not the 14th, it'll be the 28th. So, so with that, we're gonna meet with the select board, and also, I think we invite Jim Kiley too, in case there are questions about the plan that's gonna be proposed for the school choice.
Can I ask a question about that meeting? So is that meeting exclusively between Finance Committee and the Select Board, and that our discussions are the only ones on the agenda, or is it a meeting with other discussions?
It will be their general meeting. So it will be their normal select board meeting. But there'll be a time slot for the finance committee, however, how much
Like
time we
at
feel.
the beginning of the meeting?
It can be at the beginning of the meeting,
Yeah,
I'll
thank
make
you.
sure that it's at the beginning of the meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And, Mr. Chairman, are we going to come up with our agenda and see what their agenda might be?
What
So
I,
we all walk
what I would
into it.
recommend is that the committee, well, we've talked about maybe some of the agenda items, but recommend that the committee, this committee, focuses on some agenda items that you want to speak on. Obviously, the budget, the priority list,
Yep.
maybe some, between now and then, think of some items.
Right, but I want to see what the selectmen be prepared, what they plan, and stick to the agenda. That this is what we'd like to talk about, and some of us may want to do some homework on whatever that may be, or not be.
Well,
Guidance will come from the finance committee on the agenda items. We'll put that as part of their agenda, and then we'll speak on those
so,
items.
yeah, one of the, hopefully the letter to the town meeting members is ready by the 28th, so I think that would be a good time for them. They will not have voted on the warrant by that time, right?
We're giving them the index, so I'll be giving them the index on the 28th, then the following meeting, they'll be voting on the warrant.
All right, so we could give them our votes and rationale on the warrant, and they could question us.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they
The-
rely on that because of the
Yeah.
amount of time we spend on these articles that,
Yeah.
that they don't. So,
Yeah, it always they don't really spend a lot of time
no.
on the warrant,
Well, and-
They spend
and-
time putting it together, but they
They
don't.
do appreciate the feedback from the finance
Yeah,
committee.
they
because of the
take,
time that
I
we
mean,
spend.
they really, on the guidance from the finance committee, I think that they, and I've been asked a few times, even when I was just solely in the role of finance director, has the finance committee looked at these articles? Well, they had, so. Yeah, I think it's maybe between now and then, come up with a little bit more, if there are more items, if you want to send it to either myself or Bob, that you want to see on the agenda, but I think those are the key items, is the priority, the budget. I plan on giving a budget a presentation too, so if there are any more items other than those. I think capital is important.
So
also to
you're
put on
going to
that.
give the budget update while we're in.
Yeah, it'll be
meeting?
brief. I don't want to take up much time of the committee,
Yeah,
but I'll
okay.
do a brief overview of the budget. But I think capital is important also to mention. These are all kind of timely items that we're talking about. It would be nice between now and then, and we still have 3 weeks to work on the letter, and I've included the draft in this packet, last year's. So
I think we're in good shape. Thank you very
if
much,
we wanna-
Gary.
Yeah, great job.
if we want to look at that tonight, maybe throw some ideas around,
Well,
or
let
maybe
me ask you, are you going to be, because there's certain things that you update
in the,
in this thing.
yes,
The numbers. And, your town administrator, your director of finance, I'm hoping they have somebody for collections.
yeah, yeah, we do.
Okay,
That's on the back burner.
Too many hats, Gary.
so,
I think last year what we did was, I worked on most of the graphs, but the committee actually looked at Brian looked at the, and I think it was, you were giving information to Brian, and then I was working with Brian to develop the draft, then it came back to the committee. So, I mean, if that's,
so Brian's not here, so we're going to give him that assignment. But where it says, fiscal year 2026, it was 103.6 million, we're going to need you to update that.
oh yeah, I'll
number.
change that, this is just, I'll update
All
all
these
this.
numbers that are in here have to get changed.
Yep, those will all be changed, the graphs will be changed.
I would like to, last year I did a paragraph in the budget summary,
Yep,
and I would like to do a paragraph on actuals.
yep.
'Cause I actually do want to talk to the select board about that. And I don't know if anybody else is interested in putting anything in this, because it's really,
I mean, why don't I work on and obviously I'll work on it, but the committee can make changes as it sees fit, but
Yeah.
I'll work on the outlook, the graphs, and maybe if the committee wants to talk about the summary, between.
Conclusion,
The
right?
conclusion, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's two parts, right? There's the budget summary, and then there's the conclusion.
Yeah, so if the committee wants to maybe work on those, and I think that's what we used last year as the model, and then we can
Alright.
put it all together in some kind of draft form.
Is there anybody who wants to take a subject that they want to put a paragraph in here on either the conclusion or the budget summary?
I have a couple of things, and I'm not sure where they would fit, but I'd like to describe the process with the school district this year, because we had such negative experiences in the past, and it would be nice to talk about the collaboration that happened this year, and also the fact that long-term capital planning is moving forward.
Yeah.
Generally, I'm sure there will be a separate report on that, right? And
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
But just to include it, because we're the finance committee, and to say this is a piece that we think is important, I'll keep it brief, obviously.
Okay, because there is actually a couple of paragraphs on long-term capital from last year, so just kind of.
You may want to look at this, and maybe some of the information is still pertinent, some of it
Yeah,
might.
yeah, no, some of it is.
Yeah, right, yeah.
so-
Some of it,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
some of it
Yeah,
changes.
at the bottom, it might, of course, we should update that to say what we've done about that, because we've actually found a
Yeah, that's a good
potential.
point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And I won't say anything about school choice. Let somebody else,
Not until you run for representative.
I'm not going to represent it.
Promise?
So Chris Markey can sleep tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So what I recommend is that maybe there's one point person to gather all that, and then if they want to send it to me, I can adjust this accordingly. But I'll work on
Okay.
the graphs and the front piece.
All right, so you work with Brian on the stuff that you did last year?
Yeah.
I'm sure Brian would like to do that.
Yep.
And anybody has anything they want to add, a paragraph or two, send it to me, and then I'll forward
Yeah.
it to you that way there. And then we'll vote on it, so it's
Well,
not.
we'll have a draft, we'll
Yeah.
look at a draft, so.
Yeah, we'll have a draft, and then we'll vote on it.
Yeah, so if we can potentially maybe have a draft next week, or,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that's reasonable.
yeah, are you going to be able to put the numbers in?
Yes,
Okay,
it'll be draft,
yeah,
Right, so that might change, the budget will change.
yeah, okay. Are there any new graphs that we want, or just update these?
And so the packets usually get mailed, they have to be, I think the bylaws 10 days before the town, they have to be in their hands
Yeah,
10
we'll
days
be-
before the.
We'll be way ahead of schedule.
Oh, yeah, well, what I'm saying is, like, we want to mail them, I know the committee just mailed them out in the past on its own.
Yeah.
So we want to save some time for that.
Yeah, okay. Okay. It'll be interesting to see how the per capita income went way up in 2025. And,
And this is right off the
So-
DOR's web, I mean,
yeah, so I don't know, I'll be interested to see what happens this year, because I don't think Robert Kraft moved here. That was like a big, so something happened there, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, pretty much you're gonna look at the same graphs as you saw in the I mean, state aid has been pretty flat, local receipts. It's,
Well, when I talk about actuals, I'm gonna talk about state aid, so,
Do we have an assessor?
yeah, no, we have, an acting assessor right now.
consultant, right?
No, she's actually, she's taken the classes, she was a former clerk in the office, so she's on the process of being certified as an assessor. So,
Okay. And you have an HR person now?
yes, we hired an HR person, she'll be starting June 2nd.
Okay.
Sign the contract?
Yes,
Wow, she started earlier than you
Yes.
thought.
Yes, she was at the select board meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, she hadn't signed the contract.
she
select
did
board.
the day after.
Got a signed contract.
Signed contract,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Gary, you know that assessment that has to be done by the assessor's office? It has to be done like every 10 years or something?
They just performed,
Did they
one,
finish it?
yeah,
Okay.
remember the surveys that went out?
Yeah,
There were some
yeah.
surveys that went out.
They're supposed to go out and evaluate, somebody in the office, I don't know if it's the assessor or whether they contract with, I think they may have contracted with a vendor in the back.
Yeah, they use Vision,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But I mean, I got something in the mail, it was pretty simple, it wasn't anything.
But they came, I remember them coming to our house.
Your house, yeah? Okay,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Nobody came to my house.
I remember seeing people on Facebook like reporting it to the police, like this.
People are in my
Yeah,
yard.
They had
Commentary.
yeah.
striped vests and badges, but
Yeah.
some people didn't.
Yeah, well. Okay, anything else on the report to town meeting?
Nothing else right now, we'll start working on that.
Liaison reports?
I spoke with Amy DePietro today, Council on Aging. She said that her presentation went very well.
Yep.
And it was really well accepted by you folks. And she just asked me if there's anything down the road that needs to be reviewed to let her know. And I said I would, and I was going to stop by and visit her anyway to see if anything else is going on. Anything that may have financial implications going forward before the town meeting, so.
Yeah, they had come to Capitol, not requesting anything this year, but just giving us a briefing on the kitchen and what's happening down in their facility. They have a lot of antiquated equipment, as you
Yes,
know,
they
because
do.
you've been down there.
Yes, they do.
So the Friends do donate a lot of money to
do.
that cause. So they're trying to work out maybe some short-term fixes down there
Yep.
until they decide what's going to happen with the facility.
Right.
You know, and then they also had another program that I attended for Meals on Wheels. That's another program that's getting severely cut by the federal government, and they serve an astronomical amount of meals every single day. So I forgot how many meals they put out the day that we were there, but it was very interesting to see that, you know, they're worried about these people that are in need not being able
You know what
to.
I found interesting, I was meeting with them before I left to go on my trip. They actually go out into the field and they talk to homeless people.
Yes.
They could be actually venturing into the woods
Yep.
to meet with these people. I'll tell you, I was amazed, and I'll tell you, I can't speak highly enough of what they do. I mean, to go out and do that, and they just try to embrace as many people as they possibly can that need help. And I think they should, kudos to them as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, there's a committee that meets. I meet with them. We have another meeting coming up. But they're proactive. They go out, as you mentioned, and try to get these people to a better circumstance, situation. Living in the woods is obviously not that's one of the reasons why we're trying to put this article in place. This is for town property, but they're also on private property too in some instances. So, we're trying to not only supply them with need, but try to get them into a better living situation,
Liaison reports, waterways, the dedication of the Warren Hathaway Marina will be June 6th. It's a Friday, I think, between 3 and 5.
Yes.
As June 6th, if you want to go, June 6th.
They're talking about the rain date maybe being the Saturday. They haven't
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
I met with
yeah.
them yesterday.
But so that's coming. So that was, it looks like they did the whole thing, and they're going to be on the budget, and it really went well. And they were putting that up in the middle of February with all that, the snow and the wind and all. I don't know how they did it, but yeah, they're done, so. Anything else on liaison reports, or?
No, I'm waiting on our parks for their next meeting, so I did reach out to them. They're going to let me know. They don't have anything on the books yet.
Okay.
So capital, we'll report on it next week. There wasn't very much money to spend in the spring after what they did in the fall. And we talked about recommending that the water department keep their reserve because they're still buying a lot of New Bedford water. And you remember a few years ago, we got a bill for water at the very last minute. So that just in case there's a need for more. But we can be more specific about the recommendations from the committee next week, yeah. And the schools, just to update, that plan that we talked about is generally supported. It hasn't been voted on, I don't think, by everybody, but Gary thought it would work. The school committee in general is positive, and what that will do, do you remember the plan that I'm talking about? Okay. What it would do
That was one that Carrie
is.
worked out, right, with,
It is, yeah.
Yeah. It would take away the dependence on that school choice. It doesn't solve the bigger issue, but it certainly helps. Certainly puts people in a better place.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, I see things in the city of Fall River, they say the water bill's going through the roof.
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, there's been a few, I've watched some of their meetings.
Yeah, it's like double, so, you know, so.
What's the source of their water?
The Watupus.
What's up a pond? What's up a-
But the reason why their water bills are going through the roof is because Fall River's become almost a non-industrial community now. So back in the day, when they had all that industry, and that's where they were using all the water, now they need customers. So if you saw the branch going down Route 6, they're trying to pick up more customers in Westport, because they're no longer considered an industrial city. I mean,
Well, the other thing is they have that runoff
stormwater fee,
stormwater fee, and that's gone through the roof.
yes,
And the people in the industrial park are very upset about it, because it's based on
square footage
square footage. If you have asphalt, you
Yep.
get charged
on your roof.
roof and all that stuff, so.
Even on the land, they were doing it to farm owners that abut the Tiverton line. They were charging them per square foot on runoff. That was under the Correa administration, Bob Correa.
Bob Gray, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been implemented for a while.
Yeah.
But now it's a big source of revenue, so how do you get rid of that source of revenue, you know?
Yeah. All right. Minutes?
Minutes, you have the minutes for, I don't know if they have, I don't think I mailed them.
I read them at home.
I emailed them to you? Yes.
I saw it.
I read them at home.
Motion to approve the minutes of March 27th as written.
Second?
Motion made by John, seconded by Janine. All in favor, say aye.
I have to abstain.
Aye.
Aye. Bill abstained, so it's 7-0.
I'll abstain as well.
Oh, yeah, you're abstaining, okay. So it's 6-0-2. Okay. Anything else we wanted to talk about?
All I have.
Not at the moment. Maybe next time
all
I
right.
will.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn by John,
Second that motion?
second by Carrie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?